Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Outdoor 101. Today we're going to talk about the small things we bring in our pack that sometimes give us quality of life and sometimes just clutter up the pack. We start out with the first kit. This is a must-have. I've said it before and I will say it again. You should always bring a first aid kit on all your hikes. It doesn't have to be fancy, just as long as you're able to treat the likely injuries right away. If you're a group, I recommend that all of you keep one separate first aid kit, but if only one got it, everyone in the group should be aware of where the first aid kit is at all times. You should also know how to use the content of the first aid kit before heading out on a hike. Knowing how to use the first aid kit is always a win. Not needing that knowledge is also a win. So, what should you bring in the first aid kit for a hike? Well, first up, some wound cleaners, so you can sanitize any wound before treating them. And then of course, band-aids, plasters, to keep these wounds protected. It's also a good idea to keep some kind of blister patches for shoe chafings and the sort. The shoe chafing, it can ruin your hike effectively if not treated. Next up, keep some painkillers in your first aid kit to relieve from headaches, fevers, inflammation, so forth. And the next batch of pills, something to stop diarrhea. Diarrhea is always nasty, but on a hike it can leave you dehydrated in no time, so keep them handy. Next up, some kind of gel and dressing to treat burns. It's easy enough to pick up a cooking vessel that's much hotter than you expected, or you can flip the cooking pot with a hot fluid all over yourself, so a way to treat burns, that's handy. And not to forget some wipes for hand sanitation. Even during the best of time, you should always sanitize your hands before treating a wound. And on a hike, I can bet good money your hands are dirty. If you want some bonus content, it's handy to have a set of tweezers to help you remove ticks or splinters. And if you have like one of these, they also have scissors, and they might prove handy when cutting band-aids and so forth. Next bonus, a rescue blanket. If someone needs protection from extreme hot or extreme cold, they come in handy, and it's also highly reflective, so you can use it to signal with. And then I keep one of these trauma patches in my first aid to treat these real nasty cuts, and I hope I never have to use this one. And last but not least, you should of course bring any medication you have for allergies or other medical conditions that you have a prescription for. Yeah. As you see, my first aid kit is pretty bulky, but I have been known to be a bit clumsy in the woods, so I think this is a good size for me. You can of course do your one much smaller. There are smaller to buy that's all things are prepared from start, but I prefer to custom build mine for my own needs. So this bag, it was empty when I bought it, and I fill it with stuff I think are good to have. Not necessary. I hope all of them prove to be useless, but as I said, always bring it. And in conjunction to the first aid kit, the Shemagh. This has multiple purposes in my backpack. It can be a makeshift sling if you hurt your arm, so therefore it's a part of my first aid kit, but also it can be a scarf when it's very cold. I can use it as a desert cap if it's very much sun and I need protection from that. I can make it as a makeshift foraging sack if I find lots of berries or mushrooms, but most of the time it provides filling in for my pillow, so I have a use for it in all overnighters. Let's talk about gloves. You can argue that this is clothing, you can argue that this is a thing that keeps you from using your first aid kit. A cheap pair of work gloves in some kind of leather. Perfect to have when handling hot stuff. If you're handling branches or stuff, it keeps you from getting splinters in your fingers. So for me, I think a cheap pair of work gloves, they come with me all the time. And I can even use them as a sitting pad when it's kind of wet. I just put them on a branch or the rock where I'm sitting, and they keep me dry for a while, at least for a couple of minutes. So they are pretty handy and they always live in my backpack. Next up, the possibles pouch. This isn't the equipment that will get you through the zombie apocalypse, but it contains the small bits and bobs that help you solve everyday problems that you're likely to face on a hike. The possibles pouch isn't the gear that will get you through the zombie apocalypse, but it contains the small bits and bobs that helps you solve the everyday problem you can face on a hike. I have a bug repellent and I have some duct tape around it, so I have it handy if I need to make makeshift repairs from a tarp or backpack or my trousers, for example. I have the repair kit for my sleeping pad. Get a puncture on that and I might as well have left it at home. Some thread and a needle if a button gets loose. My old retired ferro rod. A carabiner, bank line if I need extra cord for my tarp or my shoe string snaps, earplugs if it's windy outside, they are really handy when you want to sleep, a piece of paracord for some tougher repairs. Zip ties, also handy for repairing your backpack, shoe strings. And that's about it for now. And this is a small toilet bag you get on the airlines. They get you this film star mask and some earplugs so you can sleep better, and some sanitizer wipes. So it's quite handy. If you have something like that at home, just pick it up and use it. I used to have a retired toilet bag that was much too big before, but since it was soft, it just compressed in my pack. It was no problem. But for now, this one contains everything I need. So let's talk about multi-tools. Two kinds of them. These are highly optional, but sometimes they do save the day. And if you're a MacGyver, this one will probably get you through the zombie apocalypse and rebuild society afterwards. Jokes aside, they have the same function as the possibles bag. They help you to fix the small problems. This is a cheap multi-tool. It's a rip-off of the Leatherman, and it has saved me from a lot of irritation several times. So as far as I'm concerned, this is $15 well spent. If you prefer a folding knife like the Swiss Army knife, they will get you through the odd jobs just as well, with very few exceptions. And if you want more in-depth information about this and other folding knife, you should head over to Steve at Fading Margins. He knows a lot more about these than I do, so it should be a link up there now or in the description. When going outside for a hike that's more than a walk in the park, bringing a basic knife with you is always a good idea. The list of jobs for it is almost endless. Cutting a piece of cord, opening that food packet that seems to be burglar proof, and so on. You can spend thousands of hours online in a search for the perfect knife, but in the beginning just take what you have at home as long as it's somewhat sturdy and have a proper sheath. And if you have no knives at all at home, start off with a cheap Mora for $20 and go from there. There's no need to buy this super exclusive bushcraft survival knife before you really know that you have the need of it, and my guess is you don't. You could argue that the multi-tool has one or more blades, but for the chores in camp I do prefer a knife with a fixed blade. If you're really far north or south, the summer days are really long, and the sunsets last like forever if the sun sets at all. The rest of the year, or if you're closer to the equator, it's a totally another story. It gets dark, real dark and fast. At the equator it's almost like turning out the lights. So it's likely that there are times when you will be dependent on the light source you brought with you. In fact, I would recommend you to bring some kind of flashlight on all hikes, in case they take a bit longer than you expected. Also, if you're in a dense forest and there are heavy clouds, you have a lot less light to guide you. Sure, your smartphone has a built-in flashlight you can use in a pinch, but it will suck your batteries dry like nobody's business, and you probably have better uses for your smartphone than be a guiding light. If you set up camp and you have a campfire, that will bring you some light. It will be enough to move you around in camp, but as soon as you turn away from the fire and walk a few steps into the woods, there will be pitch black. There are small lamps like this that gives you enough light for your tent through camp to continue your chores, cooking, reading, moving around, etc. This one runs on batteries, but there's also those that can recharge from USB cable or even solar power. Can be a good alternative to bring. Doesn't take much space and it's pretty light. If you move around after dark, I would highly recommend you to use a headlight, whether you're trying to find your campsite or just leaving camp for a quick step out to take a pee. Stumbling around in a dark forest with low-hanging branches poking you in your face, that's not my kind of fun. My headlamp, you can recharge with the USB cable from a power bank, and it has a feature that I really enjoy. I don't know if it shows on camera, but it has this red light, and it's enough to move around if you're not moving fast, and it has the advantage that it doesn't rob you or the others in the group from their night vision. The only flaw is that it doesn't always start with a red light. Sometimes it starts with a full flashlight, and then your night vision is gone. If you want to go old school and bring the ambience to overdrive, you can't go wrong with an old storm lantern. For car camps, shorter hikes or the likes where the weight isn't really big usually, I really like it. To carry it long distances, it's a pain in the butt. It's bulky, it adds lots of weight, and I had my storm lamp soak through my sleeping pad with lamp oil when I thought it was empty. So for a multi-day through hike, no way, it ain't gonna happen. Well, that's about sums this episode up. The small gizmos and gadgets that brings quality of life when on a hike, and at a rough estimation, it will only set you back about 500 grams in your pack. You can possibly go even lighter if you try. And most of the things you probably have at home anyway, so it's not going to carve a big hole in your wallet. So, are there any stuff you think that I've left out, that you think are absolutely necessary to bring on a hike? Feel free to leave a comment about it. I answer all comments, you know that. But until the next time, take care, and I hope to catch you outdoors. Cheers! Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Outdoor 101. Today we're going to talk about the small things that we bring on our hike. Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Outdoor 101. Yeah, scratch yourself. That's great. Happy? I don't know if it shows on camera. Well, do I need to say more?